Hello everyone! Welcome back to this game! When we last left off, we arrived in Chapter 3, Intuition. You know, I definitely have some intuition of what's going on. I am almost certain that the murders happening has something to do with that degenerative disease in which dragons become feral. I'm not 100% certain, though, because, I mean, it makes sense given the first murder, but we never got to look at the body of the second murder. Don't know whether that body was having a bloody mouth or, alternatively, half-eaten. And if there is some degenerative disease that is resurfacing, that doesn't explain what Reza is on about with some sort of conspiracy. Well, we'll figure it out. I'm hoping at some point here in Chapter 3, we will encounter Vera, that pink dragon girl whose mother is on medication. I have a sneaking suspicion that the mother is having that disease. But let's see what happens first. The morning sun declared the arrival of a new day and woke me from my vivid dreams. Memories of my home, enclosed within the towering perimeter wall, raced through my head. A towering perimeter wall? Where are you living? The peaceful landscape outside the apartment window stood in defiance of these old thoughts. Rolling hills and blue sky were familiar to me now, and the purity of the sight gave me hope. Erika, please come with me. I'm betting that we're about to have another murder. Either that or I am under suspicion for helping with the killing of livestock last night. What's going on? You sound serious. The chief will explain everything once we arrive. Okay. Oh, I'm getting the feeling that that is actually what we're here for. A part of me wanted to stop Anna from killing somebody else's livestock, but I kind of just went along with it. I was a little hesitant to stop her. I'm not really a confrontational person. I'm kind of a coward. So I just kind of went along with it. Thanks, Sebastian. You can deal with the situation here while I talk to Erika, alright? Of course. Erika, I've got some really bad news. Well, what is it? You know Anna, right? I've met her, yes. How about her assistant? Can't say I have. Well, that's him. Oh. I don't know whether I should feel relieved or not that this has nothing to do with last night's hunt. And here's more bad news. The blood we found on the first victim in town matches the DNA evidence found on the second victim at the power facility. Furthermore, the murder weapon and method appear to be the same across all three victims, and that's going to be a big problem for you. Why is that? Because with these three murders, Reza now qualifies as a serial killer. We won't be able to keep this whole thing quiet for much longer. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't I told that Anna never got a hold of Reza's blood sample? So we hypothetically should not know whether or not Reza is the murderer yet. Higher authorities, including the ministry in charge of your whole visit, will know about this soon. I have no idea what will happen once they do. I'm not sure what to say to that. I don't want to worry you, but we can be sure that action will be taken soon. I've been considering this possibility for a while, and think it might be best if you went back to your own world for now. This way, we can take action before the ministry does, and before this all becomes public. If we wait, we don't know what they'll do or how the public will react. With everything going on, it's too dangerous for you to stay here. No. No? This would be the worst possible time for me to leave. We've given up our PDAs and hardly have anything to show for it. We are owed several more generators, and let's not forget that Reza is still missing. Also, me leaving would kind of look bad. If I leave now, the only thing I return home with is my life. I'll have lost everything else. We need those generators, Bryce. I have no idea if your authorities can continue to uphold our deal, or what they'll do to Reza, but I'm not leaving until this is over. If that's your decision, then so be it. I mean, it technically wasn't my decision. I wound up choosing for me, but I would have chosen to stay anyway. Anyway, let's get back on track. I called you here for a reason, Erika. In addition to the murder, several things were stolen, among them your PDAs, batteries, and some components used to build generators. Does that ring any bells? Not really. Reza might have some knowledge of electronics, but I doubt he has enough to assemble one of your generators, even if he had the parts. Strange. Even so, it's fair to assume Reza's involvement at this point. No one else has a greater motive to steal the PDAs, especially after what happened between him and Maverick. Unless someone wanted to frame Reza in order to sabotage this whole operation. Do you really believe that? Hey, I'm just saying that it's possible. I'll shove that idea under possible but unlikely. Hey, Chief. Are we done here? Pretty much. Why do you ask? We just got a message from the higher-ups. You and Erika are to report to the Ministry of Culture and Arts immediately. Well, that didn't take long. Immediately, as in right now? Yeah, apparently. What's going on? To be frank, I don't know. This is an extraordinary situation, and now that it's getting out of hand, they must want to address it. Maybe they're going to throw a surprise party for us. I'm hesitant to say that, but I also... Well, while I think it's the worst possibility, I'm gonna try to remain optimistic. Maybe it's not going to be a big deal. Maybe. I suppose we'll see soon enough. Sebastian, you can finish up here and go to the ministry when you're done. We'll probably have to make some arrangements after this meeting. Sure thing, Chief. Let's go then, shall we? It's not like we have a choice. Hi there! Gotta say, you're the most interesting dragon we've met so far. I don't even know how to describe you. Actually, no. I know exactly how to describe you. Let's see here. So your name is Emera. You are a green Nidoqueen. That was quicker than I expected. I wouldn't have minded waiting out here a little longer. Greetings, Minister. Greetings. Shall we go inside for our official business? No, I've got everything I need right here. It gets so stuffy inside on hot days. My assistant doesn't seem to mind, but I prefer the fresh air. I'd rather just stay right here, unless you have any objections. Curious who your assistant is. I don't. I'm glad I didn't choose your name color when I created my name. Our names are similar enough that I could easily get confused otherwise. I see. Well, I know I haven't exactly been up to date in regards to Reza's sudden disappearance, but to get the message today that he is a confirmed serial killer was quite shocking. Frankly, I'm curious as to why the facts of this case have been withheld from me for so long. Simply because they weren't within your jurisdiction. The murders were strictly a police matter. Only with the amount of new evidence, namely the DNA and blood we found in those 3 murders now being linked together, and to him, did your ministry have to become involved. I see. So, Reza's involvement is now undeniable? I'm afraid so, Minister. Facts are nothing to be afraid of. Though, in light of all this, I'm starting to worry about my personal safety. With our thick hides, I don't think our species has much to fear if we consider the murder weapon. Speak for yourself. You don't think someone of my standing needs protection? Oh, for sure. If you are worried about your personal safety, we could look into an escort for you. Good. Considering all the murders took place during the night, I'll certainly need it. Long days are endemic in my line of work. But that's enough about myself. We now face the question of what should be done about Reza and Erika. Minister, we continue our hunt for Reza every day. As a matter of fact, Erika has been helping us do so for a while now. Is that so? One human a murderer, another a detective. Interesting. And how do we know Erika isn't following a similar plan to Reza's, whatever that may be? Similar concerns were leveled by Reza's escort, Maverick. It was his overreaction that caused Reza to run away in the first place. Let the human talk for once, Chief. Please, Erika, enlighten me. You and Reza came here on the same mission, and the situation has escalated beyond our expectations. What you tell me now will determine the actions I'll take on this matter. Maybe you should start by telling me your side of the events from the beginning. Reza was fine during his early days here. Things only went wrong after you arrived. I opened my mouth, but Bryce spoke first, determined to defend me. Okay, I had been wanting to hang out with Bryce to kind of make sure that I'm on his good side. But good to know that I'm on his good side regardless. Still, next chance I get, maybe, depending on what's going on, I'll try to hang out with him. After Lorem. Arguably, the problems that caused all this were apparent even then. How so? Maverick suspected Reza of planning something, but he didn't think he had a case. Well, did he? No, what he had was a suspicion. The night he followed Reza, he found both him and Erika at the portal. The humans intended to send one of their promised generators through, but there was a confrontation that ended with both Maverick and Erika wounded, and Reza running away. Reza's been missing ever since. I've read the reports already, Chief. The question is, did Maverick cause this, or did he just fail to prevent it? I have no way of knowing that, Minister. You just mentioned your apparent knowledge of problems back then. Problems may not have been the right word. Let's just say Maverick's attitude was not helpful during that encounter. Why did you choose Maverick as his escort in the first place? Protection for the human ambassador was my greatest concern when I made that decision, and Maverick was the most capable individual in that regard. Well, that worked out nicely, didn't it? You also seem to think that Maverick should never remain as Reza's escort. Is that true? Yes. Had I paid more attention to the warning signs, the situation may have been avoided. So you accept responsibility for the incident? Yes, Minister. I see. Now, let's get back to the topic of Erika. Reza was your partner in humanity's mission to come to this world. His list of criminal activities not only includes murder, but also the theft of generators, electronic components, and the PDAs your people gave to us. I understand why Bryce would reason that you could help with the investigation, but we have no other choice but to be suspicious of Reza's partner. What was your motivation when you agreed to help us? It is my best bet at finding the truth. I thought Reza's involvement was undeniable at this point. That may be true, but we still don't have the whole picture. We don't know if others are involved or his reasons. I just want to know why. I see. Well, after reading up on the whole situation and hearing both your accounts, I believe that Erika is trustworthy. Woohoo! Nevertheless, I think Erika presents a great risk. Why is that? After this meeting, I will hold a press conference to inform the public of the current situation. The people must know of the danger posed by Reza. No matter what Bryce and I think about your involvement, the public could feel differently. You, me, and Bryce will have to face the backlash resulting from this information becoming public. And what's more, Erika, you might be in real danger yourself. Reza himself may come to silence you once he learns that you are helping us, or consider the public uproar from those who would question your involvement. Or I should consider the public uproar, you mean? All things considered, it would be for the best if you return to your own world until the situation has been resolved. I came to the very same conclusion, Minister. Then, with your support, this is what shall be done. Please don't. You don't agree? If you send me back now, this diplomatic relationship is over. I'd have to admit defeat to humanity. There's no way I can return without your generators, our PDAs, or Reza. Maybe you could explain to them what a great choice of an ambassador Reza was. But I was his partner, so in a way, he is my responsibility. I can't just go back like this. I'm afraid that's not enough. It certainly doesn't outweigh our reasons for sending you home. Just let me explain. I'll tell you everything. Years ago, our world was prosperous. Our technology was far more advanced than yours, even. Computers not only graced every household, but every single person. It was the age of information. Even children had the power to access the most advanced knowledge at their fingertips. With our PDAs, our interconnectedness with other people and our environment was greater than ever. From locomotion to repetitious work and household chores, many processes were automated to such a degree that except for our jobs and hobbies, there was nothing that needed to be done by a person anymore. Also, this isn't taking place in modern times. I'm apparently from the future. In a roundabout way of thinking of things. Even the concept of someone wielding a weapon was outdated, as wars were no longer fought by people, but machines. Never really considered that a possibility. Using robots to fight in wars. That sounds like a bad idea, though. As soon as robots obtain sentience, they might not be a fan of that. In fact, watch it turn out that that's exactly what happened. Looking back, it was probably the single most prosperous time in human history. Exploitation of the environment and other people was in an all-time low, as was crime. Conversely, our technological advancements had drastically increased quality of life. Humans were no longer required for strenuous and repetitive tasks. Education had reached an all-time high, and many new jobs were created. Which is ironic considering humans didn't actually need to do any work anymore. General happiness had reached levels never before seen. Yet one day, everything changed. A solar flare that was headed for Earth was detected by an automated monitoring system. It was determined to be so powerful that it dwarfed all others ever recorded in history. We had less than a week to prepare. Chaos hit much earlier than that, as people scrambled to shield themselves and their possessions from the incoming ion storm. On a worldwide level, power lines were switched off, satellites reorientated in space, and planes grounded to mitigate the effects of what would hit us. Despite humanity's contingency plan for such an event and all of our efforts, we were still not prepared for the sheer magnitude of the solar flare that arrived. It was only then, when our race had become so dependent on technology, that we were immeasurably vulnerable against this kind of disaster. That day, a force with the power of 10 billion Hiroshima bombs was unleashed into our atmosphere. The eyewitness reports from this day were varied, as they were terrifying. A huge, beautiful aurora could be seen on the horizon before fireballs hurled across the sky. In some places, these lights became so bright that even those asleep at night awoke, as though day had already arrived. A coronal mass ejection by itself did not have the power to kill anyone directly, but the side effects were disastrous. After the lights in the sky arrived, sparks showered from electrical outlets everywhere, igniting rampant fires in every town and city. Facilities that stored weapons, fireworks, or other explosives became centers of widespread destruction and loss of life. During the next stage, the solar flare started to affect body modifications and caused commonplace pacemakers and nanomachines to fail. 15% of the world's population died as a result of this alone. Once the full power of the waves hit us, however, society as we knew it collapsed in one fell swoop. Power grids on Earth shut down in an instant, as did all the machines that automated our routine tasks. Long-distance communication and transport became a thing of the past. Yeah, this is, definitely not the robot rebellion I was expecting. B4 says this is actually something that may happen in our lifetime, the solar flare EMP. I mean, I've seen how big those things can get, but big enough to actually reach Earth? At the very least, I know sunspots can cause a similar issue. Without electrical power, the quality of healthcare plummeted, and water and sewage systems were crippled. Diseases we thought defeated centuries ago made their comeback in a most unsightly fashion. Many thought the end of the world had arrived, and in a way it did. Some people blamed whoever their belief system would allow, angry at the gods that had forsaken them. Others pointed their fingers at our lifestyle and society. Not that anyone was listening. Practically, we were back in the Middle Ages. Governments collapsed and were overthrown, and the ensuing power vacuums filled with groups of people that were sometimes organized and sometimes not. The few functioning electronic devices left became rare, sought-after artifacts over which... They become rare, sought-after artifacts over which battles and even wars were fought. Mifor says, I've been worried about the Earth getting hit by a technology-destroying coronal mass ejection even before I saw this game. There was one over 100 years ago, but since technology was still young, it just made telegraph lines catch fire. Really? Yikes. Of course, there were also wars over resources and territory. The weaponry used was improvised or reclaimed from the days when humans had been present on the battlefield. It had been ages, but people returned to the old bloody ways of war. Humanity is in shambles now. Those that I call family and friends now live with me in a giant, mostly self-sufficient city-state of survivors. A huge wall around the perimeter, guarded by militia, prevents any outside interference. Well, that answers that question. It's the only way we can retain a modicum of order. Gangs of raiders and looters run rampant on the outside. They wouldn't hesitate to kill first and ask questions later if they had known about my PDA. Our contained community has flourished for years now. We have homes to live in, crops to grow, and livestock to raise, and still have our own automated hospital that runs on salvaged generators. Lately, though, supplies have started to run low, and dangerously so. Getting an idea of why this ambassador thing going on was really interested in these generators. The power we have is running out. Illnesses are spreading through the city, and treatment isn't available as it used to be. Our population is dropping by the day. We took a great risk to increase the radius of our scouting missions, desperate to find something outside the wall that could help us. You already know the rest of this story. We found the portal, and you. And now you know why this whole thing is so important to me. All our hopes lie in acquiring the generators you promised us. Beer Force says if they had a 12-hour heads up, why didn't they just put their laptops and PDAs in their microwaves? Microwave ovens are Faraday cages, so any technology placed inside one would probably be safe from such an event. Well, I didn't know that. Anyway, the act of sending Reza and me here has, without a doubt, already cost the lives of some people back home. Because the portal is outside the safety of the walls. Yeah, beyond the city walls is a dead zone. We haven't heard from any other settlements for months now. The state of the rest of the world is unknown. When Reza and I were sent here, my peers made it clear that this was our last chance. If anything happens to us, no more people will be sent. If we can't manage to bring back something that will help, we'll have sealed the fate of the tens of thousands that live in our city. I'm sorry, Erika. I didn't know. If what you are telling me is true, it unfortunately does not work in your favor. As sad as your situation may be, it gives Reza a motive. Desperate times call for desperate measures, after all. In that vein, it also gives you a motive. Considering the gravity of the human plight, it gives you all the more reason to collaborate with him. I'm not. What Reza is doing is wrong. You can't send me away under these circumstances, because I'm your best bet at finding him. Even so, you would still be in grave danger after we announce Reza's involvement in the murders. I cannot and will not take responsibility for the consequences when I know of the risks. What about our deal, then? In the wake of this new information, and as a sign of goodwill, we will send the generators you are owed through the portal once this is over, under 2 conditions. Humanity must condemn Reza's actions, and we must reclaim the stolen PDAs. I've changed my mind. You should let Erika stay here. I cannot take your word under consideration in this matter, Chief. Taking into account Maverick's actions and your responsibility for them, you will have to be dealt with separately. With my authority as the minister in charge of the human visit, my decision is to have Erika sent back to the human world through the portal. Please. Immediately. Chief, please arrange for an escort to take Erika to the portal now. I could do it myself, Minister. Well, we have our own matters to discuss, Chief, and I would rather get that over with as quickly as possible. In that case, one of my officers should be here any moment. I arranged for him to meet us here. How handy. Then let us wait for this officer of yours. It didn't take long for Sebastian to arrive. After the situation was explained, he was visibly shocked, but didn't protest when he was given the chance of sending me back through the portal. Let's go, Erika. Don't I even get to say goodbye? Let us not waste any more time. You will still be free to send letters after you have arrived on the other side. Just go, Erika. Come on, then. We were silent as Sebastian and I slowly made our way to the portal. With each step I took, I drew closer and closer to the hopelessness waiting for me in the ruins of the human world. All in all, I certainly had a unique experience alongside these dragons, and although this place was filled with just as much drama and murder as back home, I would remember this world and all the people I met. I would finally think back to the days I spent in their comfortable standard of living, a shadow of how humanity used to be. Even without the generators, at the very least, I'd be returning home with a few life lessons. What's going on here? Lost in thought, I hadn't even noticed Adine approaching. It's none of your concern. Please leave. Can't I even get a few minutes before I go? I suppose nobody's stopping us, but make it quick. The human on official business, huh? I don't even know you right now, do I? Don't you remember? I met you in the cafe and at that crime scene. But that's all, isn't it? Unless I missed something, yeah. What are you doing out here? I was just practicing my flying when I spotted you down here. And who would say no to an opportunity to meet one of the humans? Not me. I'm afraid this will be both our first and last opportunity to talk. I'm about to leave this world again. Is that so? That's too bad. Kind of a shame I never got to know you. Wait, does this have something to do with those rumors I heard? Is Reza really a murderer? I'm afraid so. What does that make you? I don't have anything to do with that. I was hoping the police find him. Then why are you leaving? It's for my own safety, apparently. This wasn't my decision. Really? But what about Reza? All I could offer was a shrug. I guess they're convinced that they can find him on their own. I see. I'm not sure what to think anymore. I'm not sure either. I looked over my shoulder and glanced at Sebastian. I should be going now. Alright. Goodbye, Erika. Goodbye, Adine. Beerforce says this part hits harder if you've been dating Adine. I can imagine. I remember her. That was the witness from Reza's first murder. Did you know her? Only a little. I see. A few minutes later, we arrived at the portal, standing proud as ever in defiance of the elements. How many years had the structure survived before it was found? I hope I can remember how this thing works. Are you joking? Yeah, sorry. I got it. Alright. I suppose it's time for us to say goodbye. Let's keep it professional. I don't like to mix personal matters with work. He looked away and I shrugged. Go ahead and turn it on, then. Would you stand between the pillars, please? Of course. I took my place and stared toward the horizon while I thought about what would happen now, in this world and others. Even if I made a break for it, I'd become a fugitive, no better than Reza. It would be near impossible to investigate the case by myself while on the run in a world I knew so little about. At the very least, I took comfort in the fact that I did everything I could to help, even if it turned out like this. Nevertheless, I dreaded going back empty-handed and returning to my old life in our ruined city. Any second now, the teleportation process would start, disintegrating my body before I would reappear on the other side, back in my dying world. I wondered if there was any risk of getting lost somewhere between worlds. We didn't really know how the portals worked after all. Maybe I would be flung somewhere else in space-time, or it might affect my body in some way. I hadn't noticed any unusual changes in my body since I arrived in the Dragon's World, but I had no way of knowing if there were potential long-term side effects. I still remembered the images I saw when I teleported the first time, the vivid sights and patterns, people and situations I have recognized since then. It only took a moment to arrive at the other side of the portal, yet it felt like I had dreamed 1,000 dreams. And during the nights I spent here, these dreams had often reappeared. Any time now, I would undergo the same experience again. I was almost relieved that my adventure was over. Things had turned out far differently than expected. I evaded danger, got swept into a murder investigation, and met incredible, intelligent beings from several different species. It had certainly been a time to remember. With that thought, I closed my eyes and braced myself for the moment that would come any second now. But that moment never came. The next thing that did happen was that I heard Sebastian's voice. It's not working. Woohoo! Again! Are you joking again? No, really. It's not working. Wait, what is this? It's broken. Can you fix it? I don't think so. This doesn't look like a simple act of vandalism. It looks like some parts were torn out. I guess that means I'm not leaving, huh? Not yet, at least. Well, what do we do now? Let's head back. The chief has to know about this right away. We were back at the ministry before long. Emira and Bryce were still outside as Remy approached the two of them. Huh, so it is possible for more than two characters to be on screen at a time. Here are the case files, Emira. Why, thank you. Erika and an officer? What is this about, Emira? That is what I would like to know. Please, officer, enlighten me. Why has my order not been carried out? But you can't have 4 characters on screen. The portal is broken. It's broken? Yeah. It looks like someone tampered with it and stole parts. I couldn't even get the interface to turn on. We'll check it out once I'm done here. I suppose Erika will stay with us for a little longer after all. Seeing how this is an emergency situation, I will make this short. Chief, as a result of your carelessness regarding Maverick and Reza, you are temporarily removed from any duties related to the humans. Given these dangerous times, you will instead serve as my personal escort until further notice. Considering the circumstances, You will be allowed to coordinate the investigation at the portal, but after that, you are to immediately return to me to start your new task. Understood? Understood. Then all of you are dismissed. She turned to leave, Remy trailing after her. Alright, let's head to the portal. That includes you, Erika. Of course. Out of the corner of my eye, I spotted a sheet of paper on the ground. Hey, what's this? Emira probably dropped one of the case files. I don't know about that. Either her or her assistant. You better bring that to her. Sebastian and I should hurry to the portal. Meet us there afterwards, okay? Hold on a sec. You guys need to stick around. This might be a little note like I got last time. Don't leave me alone with this note. I don't know if I want to follow these. Sure, I say, unknowing of what I am getting myself into again. I picked up the sheet and started reading. It was about what had happened when I met Reza at the portal. Of course, I didn't say anything I didn't already know. As I walked up the stairs, I wondered if it was okay for an unauthorized person to enter the building. All I knew about the place was that Emira worked there. I did have an important document that was going to be missed, so I walked inside, only to be greeted by an empty lobby. Luckily, there were some signs directing me to Emira's office. It didn't take long to find it, and I heard voices when I approached the door. I'm kinda dreading what I'm about to find. By the way, what happened to the scroll you brought me this morning? The last time I saw it, it did not have that tear. I dropped it. Tell me something new for once. Okay, someone else dropped it. Am I supposed to believe that? Remy, are you aware of how much this costs? Repairing and replacing artifacts is not cheap. I'm afraid we will have to deduct this from your wage again. I see. You're not doing this on purpose, are you? Of course not. You've been working for me for a long time now. I expected you to learn at some point, but you are very resistant to do so. Not wanting to listen to this any longer, I decided to knock. There were a few seconds of silence. Please come in. I only opened the door long enough to hand Remy the sheet of paper. I think you dropped this outside. After I closed the door and started to walk away, I heard their voices resume. This is from one of the case files you requested. You must have dropped it. Remy's the assistant? Huh. Then why was it left outside? As my assistant, you should have paid more attention. If this got into the wrong hands, someone could get in trouble. Okay, I am betting that our time at the portal is not going to be short, so I'm going to go ahead and head into a break right now. And when we come back, I guess we're investigating the portal.